Hi everyone, welcome back to the garden. Today is going to be one of those days with gorgeous, glorious warm sun 1 minute, drizzle the next, then full-on torrential downpours. Certainly, British summer is officially here. And in today's video, I'm making some progress in my garden. So let me show you what I've done so far this week and what I've got planned for today. It's going to be a busy one. In fact, as we look over there, I think ominous is certainly the word. I'm definitely going to get wet today, but all clothes on, whether it rains or not, I'm definitely going to get very muddy. It's all part of the fun, isn't it? But this in the garden here, the fire pretend, work in progress, a phrase which I'm fed up of using now. You can see everything's really coming together quite nicely. We've got lots of beautiful flowers popping through now. The rose here, Rhapsody in blue, actually a violet purple, but that's a discussion for another day. And the Phophia, again, Northii, gorgeous plant. And here, back by the feathery fennel and that beautiful foxglove up there, really, this purple colour scheme is absolutely running through the garden now. So while the hard landscaping progress is definitely reached a little bit of a stop for now, the beautiful planting is continuing. The eucalyptus, the olive trees, the picture is slowly but surely coming together. But today's video is not about the plants, it's about the hard landscaping. And in particular, this path here. Yes, regular viewers, subscribers to my channel will have seen this path come together last spring and it stopped just about here. Well, today it's going to continue. Look at this. See, in a couple of evenings this week, I've been getting on without even filming it. I know, blasphemous, I know. But the path now is getting ready. I want to get this path done today. Yes, it's definitely going to be a tall order, but I'm certain I can get this part of the garden really looking dramatically different. So what have I done so far? Well, essentially, I dug most of this out probably a couple months ago. I know many of you have been fed up of seeing it video after video, just a great big muddy trench, again, littering my garden, another unfinished project. But what I've done early this week is actually dug in the rhizome or root barrier to contain the bamboo on this side here. This side, we've got the Phyllostaches vivax auriculis, potentially running bamboo. At least digging the barrier in around this large running bamboo means that it's less likely to run off under this path and create some problems down the line. As the wind picks up now, showering me with rain from the bamboo, lovely. And on this side here, I had a bit of the barrier left over, so I've used it to contain this Fargesia robusta Campbell, which is admittedly a clumping bamboo, but definitely one of the more vigorous kinds. And this way, at least, I've got a certain definite edge, so I can dig it out, divide it in the future without damaging the foundations of the path. So I guess really, the general stage is set. You might be wondering why there's some stone at the minute just littering the top of the path. That's because where I left the previous phase or stage of this project here, there was a bit of a mound, so I wanted to dig that away. I've also made this path a little bit wider here, and you might be wondering why. Well, the answer is actually something I've had in my mind for a while. I had a few sleepers left over from our raised bed project, and one of you suggested a similar idea in the comments on my last video looking around this area here. Definitely an idea that I had mulling over, and it is a large Torii Gate. Yes, my plan isn't strictly a Japanese style gate, but basically a large sleeper gate, mirroring the one that I've got further up the garden, essentially a large goalpost just there. So whilst it's not exactly going to be central to the path, I think it will nicely frame the view, and in particular, the Jubutia and the olive tree behind. So what I've done is, I've just kicked this edge here a little bit wider. Wasn't a problem at all. I had to dig up to there to get the bamboo barrier. I should say there's more barrier just under the surface of the soil running back across there. So I've just dug a little bit wider this side here, and then also on this side here, I think I'm going to sink the other post in somewhere around there. So there's a little bit more digging before I can get on with things. So that's the general plan for today, if the weather definitely lets me get on. A large arch across here, a beautiful framing to the glorious Mediterranean exotic planting. This crusher path will continue. So rather than having a dangerous, muddy ravine running through my garden, I will have a continuation of that at least safe and practical base, ready for whatever hard landscaping I do down the line. And also, putting this archway in across here, it lets me have a nice visual break in the garden. Yes, I know Torii arches in Japan are meant to symbolise a move between, we'll say, the physical realm and the spiritual. There's none of that here in my garden. I like to think it's all a spiritual entity, but no. I think really having this archway here, it's a nice visual, aesthetic sort of gap. You're leaving the jungle, you're going into the Mediterranean, and that way I can have something different on the floor here, and then potentially leading to my Mediterranean bound gravel, maybe something with a warm brown reddish hue to it up there. So definitely it's going to be a long-term plan this, but today there's going to be real progress. Things are actually happening in my garden yet again. So starting off first, what I need to do is get out my huge great big chisel thing, dig up a lot of this here, just so I can basically buffer up to it around the same height. And before I bring the 2 ton of crusher and pack it down into this trench here, first off, I need to get rid of a load of broken bricks, rubble, old pots, that kind of thing, ram them into the earth here. It's what everyone does, isn't it? Building a path like this or any kind of foundation is certainly an opportunity to get rid of some waste. But now anyway, the rain is coming down. I think it's time to put the camera off for a while, start filling the trench up, and then you can join me later on when I'm bringing the crusher down. So let's get on with it. That rain is coming down now. See you shortly. Yep, chose the right day for this, didn't I? It's really coming down now, but it's time to get on. Well, that escalated quickly, didn't it? Those dark grey clouds over there dumped so much water in about 10 minutes. It's still just about raining now, but as you can see, the ground is thoroughly saturated. It's picking up again, isn't it? So maybe I'll just give it a few more minutes, maybe an hour or so, to let this water soak into the paths before I start pushing barrows and lifting heavier, wetter sleepers across it. That definitely doesn't seem safe. Got my steel toe caps on after last time, definitely thinking ahead. But maybe we'll just do some digging over there first. I know still not the best job, but it's better than carrying a barrow over this. I'll do some digging over there first, really prep the area ready, and then once it's dried out a little bit more, it's time to get on with the crusher. Nice. So essentially what I'm going to do as I carefully, nearly slipped then, make my way across this muddy path, is basically make it less of a muddy path for this summer at least. Now, I don't know if you've used crusher before, but essentially it's a sub base. You might hear some places sell an MOT type one, essentially stone that can be very easily whackered down with a whacker plate to create a solid and stable base or foundation to walls, paths and other structures. So what I've done already is put it up here. Now, all this section leading into the fire pit up there is a very, very thick layer of it. Possibly I went over the top. It's probably about a foot deep in some places. There's no need to do quite as deep as that. So for most of this pathway here, I'm gonna go to, we'll say at least a couple inches, maybe a few inches deep. At that end there, I probably dug it out a little bit too much, but I've got plenty of other rubble and stuff that I can push into the hole to fill it up first. And the general plan, because I know you're obviously desperate to know, is in terms of hard landscaping, so basically bring this cobble wall, maybe 1 block high, maybe 2, depending on how many I've got, all the way up to there. But rather than having it actually raised up above the central path, I'm going to fill the path level in so it's about level. So essentially what you're going to see as a finished result is a layer of cobbles at the top at each side of the path, and then I'm going to infill it potentially with some more cobbles, maybe even some large sandstone slabs. Because like I said, having this archway roughly coming up there and over down this side around there, having that archway lets me really break up the visual style. So as long as they're roughly cohesive, hopefully the whole garden will gel nicely together. So what I'm going to do first is just dig up a bit more of this soil here where it's tumbled into the trench with all the heavy rain. And then I'm going to move some of this here and dig a separate hole, we'll say about a foot or so back for this archway. One of the questions I got asked in my recent interview with Happy Houseplants, which I really enjoyed doing, was actually my garden design here. Very good question. Is it all planned in advance or is it instinctive? Do I just go with the flow? And my answer was very much 50-50. And today is a perfect example of that. I knew the path wanted to come through here. I knew we needed something a little bit special here. I've mulled the idea over. I had a few sleepers left over, like I mentioned. But today, I've very much decided this is what I'm going to do. A lovely archway here will frame that view beautifully well. So it's time to just go with the flow and see where it takes us. Which today might not be very far, but we'll definitely see. So it's time to stop talking, put the camera down, and actually get on with some hard graft. First off, I want to take a little bit of this lip off here, just so it's not raised up quite as much, and then get some of this soil moved and dig the holes for the archway. All good fun, isn't it? I should say, I knew when I put this section in here, it was very much a transition. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to do this whole project in one go, which would be infinitely easier. I could just get a 10 or 20 ton load dumped out the front there, bring it all around, whack it all in one go, job done. But instead, I had to make a little bit of a ramp where the crusher wasn't quite as thick, only about that. So I'm just taking that edge away, so I've got a nice, real stable edge to butt up to, and hopefully get a nice, strong, consistent path running through the garden. That's the plan anyway. An hour or so later then, nearly lunchtime, the wind's picking up and there's more rain threatened, but I've got this chiseled away here so I can get a roughly sort of straight edge there, and I've also dug the holes, that one there, nice and deep, ready for the sleeper arch. And not only that, while the rain's been pounding down, I've actually got on with something else, getting the first sleeper in the ground. Yes, I just wanted to position one, so I've got a rough idea of what the final result will look like. Now, I've got to be a little bit careful with how deep I actually sink these sleepers into the ground, because I'm fully aware that the floor surface might be raised by as much as 200 mil. And obviously, being 8'7", I don't want to bang my head on the top of the arch. That will be a bit of an own goal, so to speak. So I've tried to dig it as deep as I can to get a nice post-fix base to it, and then obviously as I pack the cushion around it, it'll secure it even further. But a few crucial things which have needed some proper tools on the job. Well, a couple of spirit levels and a piece of wood I'm using as a straight edge. Essentially, what I've done is roughly position the first one. I packed it in very professionally with a couple of cobbles. I always find it handy to use a little bit of stone, particularly while the holes have got nice size like this one here, because you can adjust them a little bit, kick them down a bit more, just to get things nice and level. And of course, when it comes to levels, I do try my best here, but with these wonky, bendy sleepers, you can only do so much. But as long as it's roughly about right, I'm happy. So generally speaking, I do want this arch angled a little bit like this, because obviously the path continues in that direction rather than being straight ahead up there. So I do want to angle just a little bit, just to create that subtle hint of mystery. We'll say that's what I'm going for. But the real challenge is that obviously this floor level here, the current ground level, is actually already dug down by about 200 mil, 250 mil lower than the borders at the sides. So I had to dig this hole significantly deeper to make up for that. Now, one thing that I do want to avoid having to do is actually lifting this sleeper in and out of that hole several times to get the level right. So I've positioned that one there. I've got it so where I think it's about right, roughly, without using a tape measure, just going off by eye here, which is always a, sign of professional things to come. But what I need to do next is basically position this one in that hole there. I've got a couple of small stones at the base just to give it a bit more room for the post-fix to flood around it. And then the critical bit, position that piece of wood across the top, because obviously I'm not going to put a full-on sleeper across the top until I'm 100% sure of the levels. That'll be very heavy to lift. And in fact, I don't even know if I can lift one of these sleepers above my head by myself, but well, you'll have to keep watching this video to find out where that one goes. So essentially, I need to get a few different levels right. I need to get the level from that one there to on top of where this one's going to be. I need to get them angled right so they roughly face each other. So again, using a straight edge like this one here, I will position it across them both like that there to make sure that I'm getting the angles right. I need to roughly position it in terms of orientation, and then it's a case of getting the spirit level out and getting the vertical from that way and that way. So, all nice and fun. It's a good job not doing this on a day with a very muddy floor and also some very heavy, soggy sleepers, isn't it? This is going to be tricky. A short lunch break later, and the sun has come out once again. What a treat. But on the horizon, more clouds are gathering, so I'm sure it won't last for long. But one thing that is certainly lingering is the scent from these beautiful roses. I mean, that is what I'm growing these for, that gorgeous scent. The colour is obviously a nice bonus, but for me, it's all about the fragrance. But as we head around here, we're very much right in the middle of it. It is now time for the moment of truth. Have I got that sleeper depth about right? Is it going to need a lot more lifting in and out to make it work? Should I have used a tape measure? These are all questions which will be answered very soon. Let me put you back on the tripod and we'll have a go. That actually went easier than planned. I've got it in very roughly in place. So the next step is going to be to get the horizontal across there and to see how level it is. That really is the moment of truth, because if it's not quite right, it's going to mean a lot more lifting and a lot more digging. But in all honesty, that sleeper went in quite well. So fingers crossed that good luck is going to continue. And once I've got the level right across there, I can then juggle the post around to get everything else just right. But we'll see. Fingers crossed for this one. I'll put you back down here. I've just had a quick look then, and we're only a tiny bit out. That post there probably needs to be another inch or so lower down just to get it right. A bit more digging later then. Obviously, if you don't already know, this video isn't a how to make an arch and a pathway. This is very much how I've made mine, the mistakes I've made along the way. And unfortunately, I was a tiny bit out. But you know, it's one of those things. I know it takes a bit of sweat and effort to put it right, but it saves having years and years looking at it, knowing it's not quite right and you could have done it. That makes all the difference. So whilst I'm not a perfectionist, I still want things just about right these days. Hopefully it's about there now. We'll give it a go. As yet another storm cloud looms into view then, it's time to show you what I've had a go at. And we've got it about right. A little bit of tweaking, fettling later on, and it sort of looks like an archway. Like I said, obviously that top horizontal there is very much just a temporary measure. I want to wait until these are fully post fixed and set in before I attempt to put the sleeper on top there. That's probably the last job that I'm going to do today, and really will be a crowning glory for what has been an enjoyable, if slightly muddy project so far. But anyway, I'm not talking about the finish yet. There's plenty of crusher to chuck in this hole here and get whacked down. But essentially, I've got the posts roughly facing each other. Like I said, they're very twisted, rustic posts anyway. These sleepers have still got a fair few years left in them, hopefully a good 10 to 15 years, because they're mostly kept up right out of the ground. But I like that really sort of natural look to them. Yeah, definitely rustic. So essentially, I've got them to face each other. The flat faces, using that piece of timber up there, have essentially pointed next to each other, and then using my old friend the spirit level, I've basically got the sides to, we'll say about right. Just about see it there. Yeah, it's in the center somewhere. And the front side, again in the center about right. And then the real moment of truth, as I put this spirit level down, is very much up here, climbing this sketchy ladder, which is my outdoor ladder for precarious tasks like this. You can see we are very much inside the bubble there. So I'm happy with all dimensions. I've done the best that I can without being ridiculously precise about it. It's now time to get some post fixed from the van, wheel it up here, fill it into the holes, and then add some water. So while I'm packing down all this crusher later on today, the post fix has got plenty of time to set, ready for the big crossbeam to go in. Obviously, you could use for maximum strength, you could use a proper actual concrete mix, but seeing as I'm doing this by myself, I'm using post fix because it sets significantly quicker. And by the time I've got all this stone packed around these, they're not going to be going anywhere. It's just really about making sure they're 100% right, measuring again, using the spirit level once more before I put the water in and before I walk away and leave them. So let me get on, bring the post fix up, empty it in, and get some holes filled. Summer sun turned into an almost autumnal gloom. I managed to get both of the holes wetted down, tampered down, and they're ready to go now. So that post fix will be setting off fairly rapidly now. I did one final measure just to make sure I was happy with them, and everything looks pretty good. Obviously, there might be some right at the base of the holes that's still dry, but with the amount of moisture that's in the ground this week, I'm pretty sure that won't be an issue. So whilst those are setting rapidly like they do and going off, it's now time to begin the main job for today. Very much now a race against time. How much can I get done? Will I get the whole trench full of crusher and whack down before I have to pick Harriet up from nursery? That is today's battle. It's been one of those days today. Rain stopped play this morning, but later on, it really has been an amazing day outside. Bird song, I saw a frog hopping across the path. It knew I didn't have my camera on me, didn't it? But it's been a beautiful day to be outside. However, progress with the ground being wet has been a little bit slower than hoped for. But now the ground's starting to dry. The rain is just about holding off. It's time to continue. It's now about 3:30 then. Remy has come outside to check on progress. Nothing to do with the fact that it's now warmed up and stopped raining, absolutely nothing. We've got the whacker plate ready because we've got a path. Look at this, the crusher is down. I call it crusher, this time round it's actually 40mm down slag dust that I got from Turnbull, our local builders merchant here where I actually used to work. Say 40mm down, but actually there's some pretty large lumps in it, but it whackers down really well. It's actually all about the fines. You see a lot of this finer stuff here, the smaller particles, they really squash down nicely and get quite a nice finish actually, to be fair. Obviously not a finished result, but oh, it's Max as well. We've got the full team out, a full sausage party. So this stuff then is called slag dust for now at least, because at the time of recording there is still a steelworks in Scunthorpe, and also while the term slag dust is still remotely socially acceptable, not quite sure what Max is rubbing his head in there, but I should say this darker section of crusher, sand, a bit of all sorts, it's actually the sweepings up from that fire pit area over there, so there's a bit of a mixture gone into it. But all in all, I've got to say, this is probably a first for this channel. I've got just about the right amount. 2 bulk bags, so that's just under 2 ton, plus the barrow full that I had left over from the fire pit section, the sweepings, and then another, we'll say half barrow at the front, and it's done it about right. So that steep slope that has been here historically has now disappeared. We've got a nice, beautiful transition. Obviously, when I do put some cobbles in and do decide to change the path level, it's going to step it up a bit. So I can always have some temporary ramps until I get either side finished. But for now, at least, this foundation, I am happy with that. We might only have about an hour and a half left, but the most intense action is still to come. It's time to get the whacker plate out, crush all this down, and then the final crowning glory. Will I get it done today? Put this top beam across here. Chop down a sleeper, get it lifted up there. It's a good job I'm not dehydrated and completely tired after a long, hard day of garden work, isn't it? Nah, any joking. Fired up, ready to go as always. It's time to get on with some whacking. Whack it away then. Come on, Remy, show me what you've done. Well, I say done. Remy certainly helped. I did ask the boys if they wanted to go inside, but neither of them did. So I think Remy just was a bit disappointed the whacker machine didn't want to play with him. Max, on the other hand, was just surprised that there's something that can make more noise than he does. But as you can see, the path now, it's not perfect, but it's definitely flat. It's certainly usable. Giving it a quick sweep just to finish the top of it off for now. And here we go. This is actually what all of that looked like initially when it was first down. But what you tend to find is, after you've trodden it for a few weeks, after the rain has washed some of the fines down, it looks a lot better. But like I mentioned, as Remy is tucking into those cherries, and I'm fearing another vet visit on the horizon, what I find is, this is actually a perfectly good, hard-wearing surface, but it isn't the final finish. Like I mentioned, in this area here, this path is going to be raised up substantially. Not quite sure entirely yet whether it's going to be a mixture of some patio slabs, some of the cobbles that I've got around my fire pit area, maybe even some areas of bound gravel, probably even some terracotta quarry tiles. I've got a bit of all sorts here on the go, but the trick's going to be getting it all worked together. But that is very much where the next little task comes in. Yes, it's time to look at the timber arch. Now, as another cloud moves in front of the sun, this is very much a task that could eclipse the whole project today. This will either make or break me. I need to first off measure a piece that'll go above there. I'm wanting it to just slightly overlap the end of the pillars, basically. Just hang over just nicely. There's going to be nothing ornate. There is probably a parallel universe where I carve out with some magnificent Lord of the Rings-esque elf writing, maybe even show Suji ban it, you know, give it a nice big flamethrower in. But that's not going to happen today. Today, I'm going to cut a nice section for the top there, lug it up, somehow have a go at lifting it up there, and then I think really that isn't a bad day's work. That truly will be the crowning glory on what has generally been a beautiful early summer day outside, rain aside. So let's get on with it. So here we go then, the last task of the day. First thing I need to do is measure post to post the overall external width, which we are looking at just over 2 meters, which does tally in with that post being just over 2 meters too. That's always good. So I think I need to go really, I think about 6 inches either side, something like that. So that would make it about 2.3. Do you know what? I'll go for 2.4. That's a nice round number, isn't it? About 8 foot, something there. So it'll just hang over each edge nicely. Do you know what I'll do? I'll just measure again. Measure twice, cut once and all that. So we are over there. Yeah, just over 2 meters. So 2 meters and 3. So what I'll probably do, cut it to 243, and that way I can have 200 mil, about 8 inch, hanging over each side. So I'll put a bit of thought in. You can tell I'm out of practice with doing any kind of hard landscaping, can't you? Right. 2.4. So we're not taking much off the end. Do you know what? Thinking about it, all I'd be taking off really is about 160 mil, 6 inch. So really, it's not worth chopping the end of the sleeper off, is it? Can I lift the whole thing up in one go, or is that asking too much? Let's go for it. Well, as the robin and blackbirds move in, expecting me to have finished already. Unfortunately, I've got a while left to go, but not to ramp the pressure up or anything, but there's a big black cloud over there. I'm probably about 10 minutes away, something like that, and I need to get done to get Parrot picked up from nursery, so maybe there is just a little bit of pressure. The other question as well is, will those steps take my weight plus a sleeper? Potentially not, but that is some height, isn't it? Tricky. Right, what I'll do, I'll get that other one down and have a think. If nothing else, this video will be something for the paramedics to see exactly how I broke myself. We'll see. Right, I think it's time to take the mic off, so it will definitely get smashed during this, and give it a go. And hopefully I come out intact as well. Rethink required. That is not going up that way. Maybe I'm not as strong as I used to be. Or maybe I'm just as stupid, who knows. You see, originally, the easiest way would have been to put one end on one and then leverage it up. But after putting in the raised bed near the house and seeing how things can move, even when the post fixed in, I didn't want to risk it. But it might be the only way without phoning a friend. But as you know, favours are expensive these days, aren't they? So, we will see. Admittedly, crutches and wheelchairs are also expensive, so there's two sides to it. Right. Let's go for it. Why couldn't I just done this with pine softwood sleepers? It'd been so much easier, wouldn't it? But these are things we do for our gardens, aren't they? There's a fine line between being a stubborn hero who won't let things set him back and disability, isn't there? We will see. Just being so careful not to rock that sleeper there, not put too much pressure on it, but there will come a point when it's do or die, to use that unfortunate phrase yet again. Got sweat in my eyes now, but that cloud is getting closer and closer, and I don't want to do this while it's raining. Right, let's give it a go. Can't lift the whole sleeper up my head, but can I lift half of it? We will find out. Believe me, I'm not trying to make this intentionally dramatic. I'd rather just lift this up and gone straight above my head. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen today. So let's give it a go. Typically that would happen. It's on. Just. So now it's time to get some air back inside me. Not because I'm especially unfit. I won't say I'm fit right now, but you tend to use your whole body just to move things like this. And then I need to get it moved to central, roughly central. Okay, maybe more than roughly. And then put another spirit level just down the sides of these posts to see how far they've been pushed out. Although they don't look bad, I think they did okay. But by this point, you've watched this video back, you might have seen more than me. I don't know how much that one moved. I think though, touch wood, we're okay. So let's get up there and get it moved across. It's not moving, not moving. Sorry if this sounds like a tennis match. Right, let's just measure that up. We're not a million miles out. So, just so I can at least justify bringing one of these tools up here. So, 26 centimetres, 260 mil, which should mean that this one is just over 30. No, that one is 29 centimetres, 290, which means 1.5 centimetres that way. So I didn't do too bad, but we've got to try it. I think that takes us about there. And then just need to centralise it. Cloud's getting closer. And now the real moment of truth. How much have I messed this up? It's not the end of the world if I have, but I'd rather that I didn't. That's not bad at all. A little bit out, but again, not too bad. In the middle. He's only gone and done it, hasn't he? Just shows sometimes brute force and sheer ignorance can really get the job done. So today at least, I will be able to edit this video and you will see it. I won't end up in A&E, which is always good. That looks pretty good. So it's now time to get this stuff packed away and then I'll give you one final run through and show you the view that I'm looking at now. Because I think really this frames it just like a picture and it's looking good. As yet another storm is just about to head over, the rain has started pitter-pattering around me. You can see how dark it is, the camera's really having to adjust. That rain has been something else today, but it's not stopped progress. Yes, today has been a real mixture of old style hard-working George and new style George efficiency. But look what we've got done. Yes, it might not be textbook, it might not be 100% perfect, but we've now got a path, or more path anyway. Yes, for now at least, the jungle clearing will be a muddy mess. You're used to this. This will persist for quite a while longer until I've got somewhere to put the soil. More on that in a video very soon. But for now at least, just look how much smarter this part of the garden looks, or at least will look once I've got some proper patio or cobbles or bound gravel down, put some edges in. It really will look stunning and absolutely tie the garden together. This leafy lushness here, the greens fade away to the beautiful towering bamboo, yellows, blues, greens rising up above you. This part of the garden really will feel dramatically different, and especially when I put some cobbles down, I just think the look of old weathered rustic cobbles with the bamboo leaves, which will no doubt fall on them, it'll look sensational, stunning, really a treat. And maybe I need to get another little Japanese acer, a little red leaf one in here somewhere, because there's nothing better in autumn than seeing those little red leaves on the floor. Amazing, isn't it? But it's not about autumn today, it's about the summer view. And look at this. Yes, if you imagine a little bit, half close your eyes and, you know, maybe have a good drink, you look at that, it really will be a picture. And framed by this rustic arch, which was certainly a bit of a battle putting up, but I'm pleased that I've got there. It's a little bit hidden on that side, but it frames the view very nicely. So if I put you down about here, you can see really that is the picture. That's what it's all about. It's about looking through there. It's about seeing the Djibouti on the horizon, the Jubea palms there, this bed arching out with flowers, succulents in front of it, and then behind it, the olive tree rises up, the eucalyptus behind it. That is the view. That is what it's all about. And today we're one step closer to making it a reality. And just to complete the picture, I'll walk up this way. Oh, those clouds are looking menacing. I'll spin you back round, wait for the camera to catch up. And this is what it looks like from this side. So even though I never really looked at it from this side when I was designing it, I say designing, chucking those posts in the ground, I think it frames it really nicely. Actually, do you know what? I'm not just spouting this off the top of my head, but it really does make this part of the garden now feel like more of a room. And I'm not one of these people that like sort of garden rooms and all that. That isn't really my style. But this part now feels so separate. The bamboo bit there now feels like its own separate space. Do you know what? I will say this, I am really happy with that. And I can only imagine it'll look even better when I get some paving down. And there's even room here to have a little feature, potentially. Something, maybe some big slabs or something. Definitely something to get thinking about. Now, obviously, I've got plenty of soil dumped on either side. That needs to be moved. But what I want to do really is get the cobble walls built up before I actually backfill behind the root barriers. So that way I'm not pushing it over. Definitely makes sense. So that needs to be done. I need to tidy up this area here. I might take off some of this soil here. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Plenty to do as always. But do you know what? Today, I've got the hard work out of the way, the boring groundwork, but literally the foundations that the future fun and garden designs will be built on. So, for that at least, definitely very, very happy. Gardening, supposed to be relaxing, good for the mind, body and soul. I think it's fair to say they've all had a very good workout today, but I've certainly enjoyed myself. The rain has come and gone, the birds have been flying overhead, the cherry tree full of more cherries than I've ever seen it before. There's thousands on it. You've heard starlings, we've had buzzards, we've had blackbirds, robins, we've even had a frog hopping across the path. It really has been an amazing day outside. A good bit of garden project done. What more can you possibly want? So thank you very much for watching the video, sticking with this. Please do take a second to give it a thumbs up if you found it somewhat watchable, and I'm sure there will be another episode coming very, very soon. So I hope you all had a great weekend, and I will catch you all very soon. See you later.